I wanted to have the last video I made just be a rosary video. So I cut the live off there and thought I was going to bed, but I don't know. So many people were still online that I thought I'd stick around. One thing I want to know is if my audio is being kind of strange. Is it being too echoey, or is this okay? Because when I played back the rosary video, it sounded a little bit echoey for some reason. And there's only 7 of you on right now, so I don't know if that many of you can type that. All good, so I don't sound like I'm in a tunnel? Okay, good. Because when I replayed the last video, I was like, audio's a little funny. Okay, cool. That's fine. Yeah. Nice. I might not publish this. Ooh. Yeah, I think it's a little echoey. Okay, if you don't mind, that's cool. Yeah. I might not put this one up as an actual video because I think I might just wait around for like questions and stuff like that. I don't have anything too much to say at the moment. I don't think I do. So I just thought I'd hang out with people tonight. So I'm not doing much, and I feel like I would just scroll on like Instagram anyway, and honestly, this is probably a better use of my time when I'm awake, so that's fine. Yeah, I should probably kind of put something in the chat here. You did? Well, that's fabulous. How was that? You served your first benediction today? What was that like for you? Were you pretty overwhelmed by doing everything correctly, or were you really able to take in the whole experience of benediction at the same time? How do I make time to pray? Well, I'll tell you right now, I need to make more time to pray. That's for sure. As a Catholic, though, you have your feet on the ground and your mind in eternity. You might not always have time to say a whole rosary sometimes, but I know that you have time to hold a rosary as you fall asleep, even though you have to get up for work and you can't say one right then. Hold one as you fall asleep. I've gotten in such a habit of holding one that now I wake up and it's still in my hand. Now let me tell you that usually was not the case. It would be everywhere but my hand. So, but now at this point, I guess I'm a pretty still sleeper. So usually what I'll do is I kind of like wrap it around a little bit like this, and I wake up in the morning and it's still there. And I just feel closer to Mary and Jesus when I do that, and kind of just looked over as I sleep. Yeah. And how else can you make time to pray? See, I know there's lots of people that are like, well, just make time, just go outside, go for a walk. I'm trying to tell you advice for the person that is still busy all the time and just seems to always perpetually be busy. There's lots of advice that says, just push yourself. And I could tell you to just push yourself to pray more. But I also want to tell you things that you can do on the go to feel in touch with Jesus and aware of Mary. And predominantly not feel so guilty when you're away from them all the time, but rather just be taking them with you everywhere you go, as opposed to being like, I'm too busy, I'm just going to leave them at home. It doesn't work that way, we know that. A rosary a day keeps Satan away. I would agree with you in one sense. It keeps him at bay, I would say. But in terms, I have to say this. The day after I pray a rosary, sometimes, over my years of being Catholic and praying rosaries on and off throughout my life, it's like, here's what I've noticed is just been such a pattern that I can't ignore it at this point. And so I pray a rosary the next day, or during that week, if I started praying a rosary more frequently, I'd see little things that were very pleasant to me, that reminded me of things very, very particular to me in my life, that were like little hellos and little things, nice things I could put in my back pocket, not saying they were a sign from God, and definitely, but just knowing that when I saw them, they sat on my heart in a good way, and I put them in my back pocket and said, I'll find out later in heaven if that was what it was specifically for me, but whether it was or not, I'm going to make it affect my day positively, because that model of car reminds me of, it's the same one like my grandpa used to drive, and now I'm thinking of him, like, oh, that's nice. Like the day after a rosary in particular, there would be something. But then there would also be an inconvenience that would follow. There was a pushback, because when you try to redirect your life to Christ, you're going to get a pushback, and just be ready for it. Obviously, everybody's spiritual life is different, so God might not deal out the same cards to everybody and the same consequences to everybody, but I feel like, faith wisdom, it's like I'd say some signal graces, yes, for sure. Anyway, there would be like an inconvenience, as well as maybe some signal graces or little things that affect your day positively. It's like there's a pushback from one side and a pull in from the other. Mary's saying, that's it, keep praying your rosary. I hear you. And then Satan's saying, stop praying your rosary. I'm going to make your life really annoying. I'm going to make you angry the next day. I'm going to take away your inner peace. I'm going to throw in a really bad mass on your Sunday, so you feel really rotten for the rest of the Sunday. And you go to bed discouraged and don't say that rosary. That's why I'm always telling people, be careful when you go to a bad mass about your inner peace. You can still change that mass later. You can go talk to the priest and be like, oh, we should change the music. But just keep focusing on the Eucharist during the Mass and the mercy it is that Christ came down anyways, so that your heart can stay peaceful, so that Satan can't go grab it in the turmoil of anger and bitterness and discouragement. So anyway, after you pray a rosary, Satan's going to try to discourage you in some way, especially if you're praying a lot of them. He might give you a huge, huge, huge project at work, and you're just like, oh, now I'm going to be too exhausted when I get home. Now I won't be able to pray anything when I get home. I don't know. Anyway, you might get discouraged. Or it can be anything from stubbing your toe immediately after praying the rosary, or to more extreme things, like maybe drama in your life of some sort, or tragedies, or just a really bad day. So, okay. Reading the comments that I have ignored while I was answering the question. Oh, you're enjoying my live videos. It really feels like we get to know you better. I don't know many Catholics, but it's nice feeling you're a distant Catholic friend. Thanks, Elliot. It's nice to know that I have a distant Catholic friend in you too. It's really nice. Wow, Sean Sampson, you were an atheist, you discovered the Catholic YouTube world, and now you're working on converting. That is so incredible and encouraging to hear. It's funny because I feel like people are like, oh, we get to know you so well on YouTube. And funny enough, I feel like YouTube really does, in a way that in real life you might think like, oh, YouTubers aren't how they are on screen and blah blah blah. And it's true. I'm not how I am on screen, but not in the way you might think. I'm more reserved in real life, and I'm not this emotional one-on-one with people. I'm pretty quiet. I have a few words to say, or a ton if I'm talking about something I'm really interested in. So, in a sense, I feel like it's almost a little therapeutic to come on here and talk to the camera, because I feel like my thoughts that I can't just say in everyday life when we're on our way to Chipotle to get lunch or whatever, life is predominantly pretty casual day to day. So to come on here and be able to just stream these thoughts that could maybe go in more of a diary for no one to read, but to share them with you, it's quite an experience for both people. And that's why I've kept doing it, I guess. And for many other reasons. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, reading through the comments again. Oh, the Catholic night, that's cool. Okay. Thank you for that extra advice, Mariana13. Okay, any book recommendations? Not really, because I wish I was a reader. My older sister is the reader of the family who would read books upside down, read books in the hammock, read books on rooftops. She was always reading. I was always out in the woods or in a canoe or playing soccer with friends. I was on the go. I did not read very much in my life. But Joan of Arc by Mark Twain changed my faith life forever in the 7th grade when I read it. Because that's when I first understood that the character in that book died, but she was actually part of history and died in history, but she's canonized as saint in history, meaning she's not dead. And that was like this huge revelation to me. The first time I was sad at the end of the book because the character died, but then I was like, whoa, wait, and I kind of understood sainthood for the first time. And, when the character in the book dies, you're sad. You're like, I wish you could have been there, Joan of Arc. That really stinks. We would have been great friends. And then I was like, well, you can kind of ask her to pray for you, right? I was like, hey, cool. So I can have like some kind of communication with this character in the book that I'm at the moment missing and sad that they died. So, and then I was like, so that's how you talk to Jesus too. Because he also is somebody in history. Well, he's the one man in history who did not die. Oh, huge revelation for that 13-year-old, let me tell you. Actually, I think I might have been 12. I wasn't exactly 13 yet. Yeah. 12. Wow, I was 12. That's crazy. Is this currently live? I hope this tells you that this is currently live, Joseph. I think it can't get more live than this. I hope I didn't burn myself by answering that question. I hope you're nice. You think you missed most of this? Williams Brothers? Oh, I'm sorry. What, like 14 minutes of it? Well, I can tell you the first 6 minutes were just me. No, Mary. The first 6 minutes of this were just me kind of asking for questions. There's no real topic to this video. I just wanted to hang out with you guys on a Saturday night. Saturday morning. So if you just jumped on, it's casual. Casual, it's not like you missed the first half of class or something. We're just talking. But it's nice to have you guys here. Hello, Williams Brothers and Mary T. It's nice to have you on tonight. I've figured out something that by doing these live streams, people come on here and talk about good things as opposed to the many other things they could be doing on the internet. So that's another plus to these, I guess. Is my voice too echoey for some people? I want to ask one more time, because I know I'm in kind of a big room with no carpet and it echoes. Do you think it'd be wrong for me to say the rosary quickly in like 15 minutes? I dare you to say the rosary in 15 minutes, but you have to say it with meaning, because one Hail Mary done meaningfully is worth 100 rattled off in 15 minutes. So if you can say a meaningful rosary in 15 minutes, I'd rather you do that than not say one at all. But don't time yourself. And then if it goes over, big deal. Okay. I've never heard of Father Leo Clifford before. His reflection on how to handle worry are very inspirational. Well, that's cool. You can find the video on YouTube. I just might look. Thank you. Okay, I'm glad it sounds fine. Doctors say night owls die earlier. I actually would probably believe that, honestly. I am so sorry, everyone. We're all gonna go first. Okay, question for you. Hi from Japan. That's so cool. Hello to Japan. All hail Mary, not all hail Renee, please. Question for you. What prayers and thoughts do you suggest to get throughout the week? To get through the week, sometimes my Tuesdays feel like I can't get through the week, and I try to pray. On Tuesdays, we started this thing in the office called Kombucha Tuesday, after this one guy in the office was obsessed with this one kombucha brand. We were all like, what's the big hype about that? So we all tried it one day, and then it was a Tuesday, and then we kind of just kept going. Every Tuesday we got kombucha. That's how we get through the Tuesday. But question for you, what prayers and thoughts do you suggest to get through the week? Sometimes my Tuesdays feel like I can't get through the week, and I try to pray. Well, Tuesdays are sorrowful mysteries, but I don't want to bring you down even more on Tuesday unless you know how to pray the sorrowful mysteries in the best way, which is to focus on the fact that they embroider the glorious and the joyful mysteries when you understand them properly. When you really get the full meaning and the full understanding of the sorrowful mysteries, they uplift the joyful and the glorious mysteries in such a strong way, in such a more meaningful way. So you don't always pray the sorrowful mysteries depressed. No, you realize just how joyful the joyful mysteries are and how glorious the glorious mysteries are. What is kombucha? It's like a black tea that's kind of fizzy. It's like a little bit carbonated, and it has live cultures in it. It's so weird. It's one of those weird health foods. That's all. Okay. People at your college are obsessed with kombucha. Wow. You're Catholic militant? Oh, hi. Yeah, I know who you are. After a while, after 8 years, you know who's who on YouTube a little bit more. It's when you guys come up to me in real life that I'm like, wait, but okay, don't know your face. What's your YouTube name? Oh, announcement, you guys. Duh, I think it was one of the first reasons I was going to make a live stream anyways tonight. I'll have to do another video on this too. I'm going to go to Seek 2018 in February, a big Catholic conference with like 17,000 registrants. So And I'm also going to the pro-life march in DC, accompanied by quite a couple of people because safety reasons. I'm going to type this out. I will be at Seek. Oops, sorry. And march, but I will be accompanied by a couple of people because I'm not stupid enough to just say to the internet, I'm going to be somewhere this time. You'll be at Seek too? Oh my goodness. I'm going to try to have some sort of I don't know, maybe like a WhatsApp or something for the event itself, or some sort of username that you can message during the event, unless you just want to use my Instagram. I'll be checking my Instagram, which is Renee Shumay. And we can probably find ourselves around Seek, and I can meet you. Seek is a huge Catholic conference that gets about 17,000 registrants, 4,000 church officials and priests and stuff go as well. It's like the biggest one, apparently, but I've never gone. Okay. Hi, Mary. And then hi, Maria. Thank you. I'm glad you found me on YouTube too. It's nice to see you. Kind of see you. You understand what I mean. Now we all know your name, Joseph. Hey, Brian, what? I'll pray for that situation for sure. Remember that sometimes the great successes come from failure and messing up and things not going right the first time. I always like to think of Oprah and how she was fired from her job at the news station. And many other examples like that. And many other great people who became successful or had that one invention at 70 years old and then took off. I think Colonel Sanders of KFC was one of those people. He started KFC when he was an old man because he had a chicken recipe, and that ended up being it. That ended up taking him and making him sore. But you don't have to go through life hoping that you win the lottery like that, though. The best thing to do is to find the happiness in the now, which is crazy. Not the now in terms of the certain circumstances you're in now, but the happiness that transcends everything that could potentially be going on around you. And once you grasp that, through God is honestly how I got it. Things will come and go, and things will get worse, then they'll get better and worse and better. And you'll have a sense of how to get yourself to that remembrance of why it's possible for you to grab a happiness in any circumstances. And I wouldn't even call it a happiness as much as I would call it a trust and a hope that result in a sort of joy. It's about going through life and in a non-morbid, non-depressing way, expecting the worst or expecting the mediocre all the time, expecting it. And instead being pleasantly surprised when things go right, go well, do exactly what they're supposed to do, as opposed to going through life saying everything's supposed to happen correctly, and now it's not, and now it's not, and now it's not, now it's not, because we know that it won't most of the time, and then being sad. It's better to go into life and be I expect none of this to really work correctly or is the way I want it to work. I get that. That's the way life is. That's what I'm going to wake up to every morning. And then suddenly, somebody holds the door for you. And then suddenly, you get a new job. And suddenly, somebody bakes you a pie and brings it over to welcome you to the neighborhood. Suddenly somebody gives you $50 at the gas station because you were broke or whatever. And that's called being pleasantly surprised. But if you were always expecting that not to happen, you will be pleasantly surprised. Imagine getting surprised with $50 and going, finally, something went right. That's really ridiculous to think that way. Come to an understanding of life will be predominantly mediocre, but don't get depressed about it. In fact, find peace in that, because you won't be surprised with bad things anymore. You'll actually be able to find a consistent acceptance and therefore almost a sort of peace about that's the way things are. And looking forward to heaven, where it's not how things are. And then having that hope to keep you happy. I hope all of that made sense. But love is the only surprising thing left in the world. So be surprised by it. Don't expect it. Just be surprised by it. That's when it's the best, to me. Okay, here we go. Seek 2019 in January. Yes. I'm not going to World Youth Day, unfortunately. Hello from Indonesia. I guess if people really pushed me, if I found out a ton of people wanted me to go, I would go. I don't know. Someday. I know I made you want KFC, sorry. You're welcome. Care to visit Belgium one day? You guys are inviting me to all these places, and it'd be great, but I don't know where I'd stay or what. Just jump over there, I guess, for no reason. Belgium sounds cool. Sure. Did Homo Factus S group chat on Insta? Oh, what? There's some big group chat going on Instagram right now? Thinking about going back to the Catholic Church. Well, thinking about going back. I wonder, I'm curious to ask you where you think this inclination to go back has come from. So I'm just thinking. When you go back, if you go back to Mass, if you go back to the Catholic Church, in the event that you go to a Mass that maybe is subpar, or you get a priest that says weird things at that Mass where you finally decided to go back and to attend Mass again, remember that the Church is in some interesting times, and the Church is a hospital for sinners in the pews, and yes, even in the clergy and on the altar. So when you go, I hope when you go back to church that you're going because of the sacraments, because of the Eucharist and the mystery that we hold, the mysteries we hold, and the great belief we hold that back in 33 AD, a man died on the cross, and he was reported to have his body go missing 3 days later, and was reported to have appeared again in one of his disciples, who then went and devoted their lives all the way to the point that they were murdered for him. And that together with those disciples, he told them that this is my body, which is given up for you. And those who eat and drink of it will have eternal life like me, Jesus said. And I like to imagine myself in some catacomb underneath some city back with the other martyrs when they were all holding candles and like at one of the first masses. And how much different of a feel that was from Mass today. You know. Well, Daniel, God is out there. And it actually means a lot to me whenever I get a Daniel on a group chat, because that's the name of my older brother, Daniel, who died in 2003 at the age of 15 when I was 9. And the place where he died, I don't mean to be morbid or anything, but where he died was almost to the T the spot where I made my first YouTube video ever and started vlogging. And he's been very close to me my whole life. And I know he's looking down at me all the time. And whenever I see the name Dan, I think of him. And it's always been a little hello to me from him. So I just want to thank you for coming on the chat tonight, because it actually meant something to me in a way that you didn't know. So it says, do you have a favorite apostle? I have a certain bias towards Mark because I was born on his feast day. And then I liked St. James in 5th grade because he said faith without works is dead. And I went to a Protestant school at the time, and I was like, St. James says that faith without works is dead. And I remember reading all of St. James because I thought, oh, he's got the answers. Well, don't be sorry about my brother. Just pray for him. There's been so much good that has come from him because I believe we've asked. Yeah, Mark was just a disciple, my bad. I was thinking for a second, I was like, is he just a disciple? I can't think. I wish I knew facts better. This is why I haven't written books, and this is why I don't give talks, because I'm just a YouTuber, honestly. You're just following my life for like 8 years. Okay. This is why Mom always tells me I should educate myself and read more of these books before I go on the internet and talk about Catholicism. She's right. She's right. There's so much more for me to know. Yeah. Yeah, but King Solomon, I just want to say that the sign that you have faith is by how you live. Because even the devil believes in God, but the way he lives does not save him. So all we mean to say, I'm not saying, all we mean to say is it's a no-brainer that faith, just in the essence of what it is, shows itself in outward signs because of what it is. It's faith in Jesus Christ and belief in his life. That faith, by what it is, will cause outward signs and actions from the person who has it. So that's when you say that your faith saves you. It's like, yes, in a way, in a more indirect way than just, I believe in God, heaven. Like I said, Satan believes in God too, and so do all his minions. And many people in the world who denied Jesus and still think he exists and instead just want to live their own life, they believe in God too. So I'm saying that faith has an aspect of works to it that gets us saved in particular. And that's what I think about that. If I didn't explain that well enough or not in the most Catholic way, then I'm sorry, because once again, I do not write books or give talks for a reason. That's funny. You're like, you don't give talks, well, you're talking to like thousands of people when you post on YouTube. I'm like, I know, but it'd be a little bit more embarrassing to do it on a podium and say that Mark is an apostle than in my living room. I don't know. So talks, they usually like pay you to be there and have little hors d'oeuvres and drinks on the side, and like, and our special guest, and she thinks Mark was an apostle when he's just a disciple. It's like, it's just a little bit worse. Just a little bit worse. Okay. If God lets bad things happen, does that mean he loves you more? That's what people say. Oh, it's not that clear-cut at all. It's not that clear-cut at all. Look at every single person's life. You know how each life is different, the way they live it out, the way the person thinks, what they've experienced, what tragedies happen to them, what good things happen to them, what kind of person they are in every detail. One person's life is like a huge, huge book. So when you say, if God lets bad things happen, does it mean he loves you more? It's like, no. You have to stretch out the whole timeline because God is in all of the details, following minute by minute your life, and knows exactly what kind of person you are, how your brain comprehends things, the kind of sight he's given you of the world. Particular to you, he is a divine craftsman. And we're all like little snowflakes in how different our lives are. So when you say, God let bad things happen to that person, and does he do that across the board for everyone? It's so not across the board. It's so incredibly individual that he's almost got a pen and paper as he's going along with your life. It's way more individual than that. So before I say yes to your question or no to your question, I have to know what bad thing happened. I have to know who it happened to. I have to know that person. I have to know their life and their background and what long-term could be best for them. And I don't know what long-term could be best for them. Only God knows that. So that bad thing and that happening to that person and them having this mysterious kind of future that God knows is the best for them or whatever, I can't actually answer your question in that sense. Does that make sense? Way too particular. We can't say that there is a formula to God per se. Not one that we can figure out to a T. We can always find out what God is not. And then we can take from Scripture is what we are to call him and what his title is, and the fact that, the realities of the Trinity and things like that we have figured out. But God is closer to us than any friend, than any parent, than any family member. God is more in tune with us than we are with ourselves, because you tell me the day that, well, that was a funny comparison. I'm trying to come up with a comparison, but I really can't. If we didn't have, let's say, even like a mirror, we wouldn't even know what we looked like. God knows way, way more about us than we could possibly know. So, I feel weird even asking this, but what can I do if I want to find God? He's not as far away as you think he is in the first place, because sometimes in our sinfulness and our distance from him, we say, all right, I've got to set down my whole life and go on a big journey to find him because I am that far from him and I took myself that far away from him. Meanwhile, God's like right behind your shoulder going, no, I'm actually just still right here this whole time. You don't have to go on this big adventure or anything. You sit back and you can just start there. Be with him in that moment. And in silence, you can let him know what you're thinking by replaying all those emotions and those thoughts and those questions in your head, aware that he is listening while you're thinking over all these things. You don't have to say even anything out loud, per se. Because look, I'm not one to say how long each one of us will be on this earth, but you can have a fair guess that you'll live till 85. And I tell you that God is as close to you now as he will be when you're 85. If anything, we kind of run from God every day that we don't choose him. But to get close to him again, you really just have to stop running. Because he follows you, and he keeps up with you, and he's watching your life. And your crazy life, imperfect life, and maybe very difficult life, and maybe disobedient life, it can build up on our hearts, and we can say, oh, but I did this and this and this and this and this, and I've been this way, and I didn't care about this and this. And we can actually build those up, hold them all in our arms, and say, sorry, God, give me a minute. I've got a lot to deal with here before I can even come back to you. And God's sitting there like, are you kidding me? I'm bigger than all of that you're holding. I'm more powerful than all of that you're holding. You're looking kind of ridiculous with your baggage here, trying to say, like, give me a minute. I have to go through all of this piece by piece before I can get back to you. I'll come find you in a minute once I get over the fact that I did all these things. In that moment when you're saying, but I did all these things, it's actually being made about you again. So you need to, like, leave that and say, even all these things, God can jump over and get over. Especially if I'm approaching him and wanting to actually be different, start listening now. Then God can move all the other stuff you did out of the way. Confession, per se, is the way to guarantee and have that outward sign of the forgiveness with the blessing of the priest, that assurance that the forgiveness is yours when you have a contrite heart, which means you actually are actually thinking, I don't want to do these things again. I do want to change. I do want to try. Contrite heart. Then you can leave all of your baggage on the floor and just go forward. Just start thinking with God. Thinking with God. That's almost how I describe, almost 75 to 80% of my prayer life, especially when I'm most busy, is thinking with God. My stream of consciousness is going, I'm thinking thoughts, I'm thinking about my day, but mentally I have an open door to share that with God, kind of like, God, are you hearing this? Like, here's how my day went as I'm sitting there thinking. God, are you hearing this? This is what I'm struggling with right now. You're letting him into your thoughts, and he's listening. And then there are days when you are quiet and God can kind of just be and fill your heart and your mind with thoughts of good things and good questions about life and philosophy and the afterlife and pain and suffering and the meaning of it. You just sit there and be filled with thoughts that are more pertaining to heaven and existence and motivating you in this life, and just listening for the truth and listening for God. And because we are able to reason to truth, we can, in some sense, do that within ourselves with the help of some books and good education, but also in letting in the Holy Spirit that Jesus talked about so often in Scripture and has so often inspired many people to go and do great things for God over the course of history are many saints. Renee, I feel weird even asking this. Do you have a boyfriend? Nope, I don't. Nope. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to get one from the comments at all. But I'm very happy right now without one because I'm at peace right now without one. And marriage is interesting because you can just want marriage and then go find somebody to make that happen, or you can find somebody that makes you want marriage. And so it's like, I don't just want marriage per se. I mean, in my mind, yeah, is there like maybe an ideal? Sure. But I'm actually still not sure whether that's a vocation to religious life or marriage. Both fair game, depending on what suddenly moves me in one direction, whether it's the perfect person to make me think about marriage, or it's a final realization in my life where the doors open up to an easier route that points towards a religious vocation. So I'm not just tapping my foot per se, asking someone to like fill the husband role for a marriage. Like, I'm not just gonna tap my foot till somebody comes along and can make that happen. It's more so that it's got to be someone who comes along that makes me want to get married because they're the right person for it and right person for me. I just know that if God really wants things to happen, and if you are praying, if you're with God and you listen to Him and be a good person, why would God let you pass up what you are supposed to be? Whether that's a mom and you're supposed to be married to so-and-so, or whether that's a religious vocation and you're supposed to be, I say supposed to be. And in some people's lives, there are things that they're supposed to be. But once again, you're talking about particular lives here, very individual lives. And some people are supposed to be this or that, but not everybody is supposed to be one thing. A lot of people end up this or end up that, and God stays with them no matter where they walk on the yellow brick road. And He actually wasn't pushing them towards one thing in particular. He let them choose their whole life. And then He was always there for the consequences, the happy times, the sad times, everything. It depends on the person, always, because God is one of individuals. God is personal. He's not so much a ruler over numbers as He is a ruler over each person and is a father for each person. When He says, I am your father, He means I am your father, not I am everyone's father and you get 5 minutes every week of my particular attention. No, you get 100% of His attention every day. Mind-boggling, I know. Our little human brains can hardly comprehend it all. Especially mine. Okay. Do you feel today's culture is making it difficult to find someone? Maybe. I don't really know how culture was back in the day either, whether marriage was more of a business deal back in the day anyway, making it easier to just marry anybody. Today you have to find someone. That wasn't always how marriage was at all. So I don't know. But I will say that, of course, the rampant impurity being spread around faster than ever because of technology doesn't help the situation very much at all. I will agree with you on that. Yeah, the venerable, definitely Agreed. It's always hard to answer. Okay. What books have been on your mind recently? Just today, I was telling my mom about a book that moved me a long time ago when I was 14. It was by Tan Books, and it was just called Eucharistic Miracles or something like that. Very old book I found in my grandma's house down like in her basement in a big pile of books. Tan Books, Eucharistic Miracles. And it went through all the historically recorded Eucharistic miracles and what exactly happened via tradition. And I found that really awesome. And I thought of that book again today. Wait, did Daniel say something else? You want to honestly know he's there and come back. Personally, I just want to find the truth. That's the key statement, Daniel. And that's the key statement for anybody going over here. Anybody that you want to marry is if they want to find the truth in life, whether they're even Protestant or whatever religion, if they're a truth seeker and a truth respecter, once they find out what's right, those are the kinds of people to really trust in friendships and especially in marriages. So I always say that when people ask if you can marry someone who's not Catholic, if you can marry someone who's Lutheran or something, I bring that point up. Because my grandmother was a seeker of truth and a respecter of what she found out was right and what was wrong, and she converted to Catholicism eventually. Have you ever read some Chesterton? Yes, some. Well, oh my goodness, it is so late. This is how I party it up on a Friday night, everybody. Well, look at me go. And yet I find this so much more fulfilling than a lot of things. What do you think about Jordan Peterson? Unfortunately, you always say that in the comments, and I feel so stupid not knowing who that is. I feel like I've been working and working and working and not keeping up on a lot of things. So I feel stupid that I don't know. Yes, this is a Catholic party. Is there a reason your last name on there says Cleveland? Are you from there at all? Alanson Cleveland? Or is that your last name? What is my favorite non-Christian song? Gosh. Oh my. Seriously, that is such a hard question. You just basically asked me what is my favorite song. Do you have a favorite song that you can just pick up? This is my favorite song, because I don't. I have so many. No, it's your last name. Never been to Ohio. Okay, I'm from Ohio, so I was like, I'm from Ohio. Yeah, now it's Saturday morning. Very aware. One time, my fish died, and I drew a picture of him on a piece of paper and hung him on my wall and talked to him that way, because I couldn't talk to him through the aquarium anymore because he was dead. So I drew this tiny, I had one of those tiny little notepads. I drew a picture of the fish, tore it off, and I stuck it on my wall by my pillow. And then, because I had such an awesome, I guess, I was very into, so having imaginary friends and stuff at that time in my life when I was like 4 or 5. I'm totally aware it was a joke and everything, but you just jogged my memory about something cute. And I'm going along with it. So Yeah, but because you said I'm dumb, I'm kicking off though, so bye. Because that was rude. Goodbye. Okay. She looks INFJ. Well, you're actually right about a couple of those letters, but I'm not telling you which ones. Because I can't remember all of them. But I recognize some of those letters. Okay. Why do I have a French name? I don't know. I'm not French at all. I'm Ukrainian and Irish. But my mom liked the name Renee, and it meant reborn. And she also liked the name Catherine, which meant pure. I found out later, and then I named all my blogs and my YouTube channels Reborn Pure. But none of the blogs exist now. All that we have is the YouTube channel that is still going strong. And I'm getting old. Yo, what's good? Practicing my guitar and decided to see what's on YouTube to play in the background. And got a good deal by the looks of it. You are a French speaker. Oh, cool. I'm getting old. What are some of your weird talents? He asks. You are a juggler. That is really cool. I can tell the make and model of a car just by its headlights in the dark, front or back headlights, from a distance. No overhead lights on the car or anything, just the headlights, the pitch black. I can name them like this, one in a row, like right down the line. And that is my weird talent, because I used to live by the entrance to a neighborhood and started to learn what my friends' cars looked like. So I knew when they came home or when their parents were there to pick them up at night. I kind of wanted to recognize it. Make and model of the car. So make is like Toyota or Chevrolet, and model would be like Toyota Camry or Toyota Avalon or, or the Chevy Cruze. Make and model. I want a Catholic girlfriend. What's the best way to pursue? Well, a lot of these questions, again, are kind of particular, because if you lived in a certain state, I'd say, look for Catholic young adult groups and go to the art museum where you can find people who like goodness and beauty, and make sure you're in the best place possible before you go pulling someone else into your life, because you don't want, it's not a half of a person and another half of a person. It's two complete people content and at peace with their lives that join together and create something great, which is a family. So if you feel like you need a Catholic girlfriend, it's causing you to stop having peace in your life, then you're not looking at it correctly. I believe that once you are at peace with the fact that you are single and alone, I'm sorry to say it like that. I mean, I'm single and alone too, so we're both on the same page here. But when you're finally able to breathe, come to your own, learn about yourself, perfect yourself in the silence and peace of being alone, and then when she comes along, she will come along. If you are faithful to the Lord and His will for your life, and if you're trying to be the best person you can be, He won't let you miss out if you're supposed to be married. It'll happen. But probably don't sit inside all the time doing nothing. Go out and meet people. That's all. I mean, I'm sure if you've thought about it, you know things in your area where you can meet other Catholic young people. But keep looking into that. Go on Facebook, go to local events, and see what you can find. Volunteer somewhere, because maybe there's a nice girl who also likes volunteering. But do it so genuinely and from your heart, and be that good person, like I said. I was a pagan, but now I am Catholic. There is still hope for me. Oh, yes, there is. Okay. You once saw a woman completely barefoot, and my friend and I had an argument. It was a civil way to worship or lack of respect. I know. I went to Franciscan University and sometimes saw kids without shoes too. God reads the heart of people. So even if they had shoes off, and let's say we hypothetically conclude that that's wrong, in that situation, it was not I wouldn't say it was a sin per se, and I'd say that the person's heart was read by God in that moment, and it was probably good if they were prostrate on the floor with bare feet. But personally, I don't like to draw a ton of attention to myself when at church. Unless it just happens that way, but if you can't help but like start bawling in ecstasy in the middle of the church or something, can't really help that. But oh, bye, Cleveland. Lynn's in Cleveland. Good night. Yeah. It's hard for me to do a big display of faith in church. It's not that it's embarrassing to do so, as much as I stand side by side with all my brothers and sisters in this hospital for sinners, and I wait my turn in line, and I stand together with them, and to step out in front of line, I can take off my shoes and shave my head and whatever else in piety in front of others at church. I don't know, because at the same time I feel like I don't want to make anybody feel lesser than, but then you should always inspire others with your faith and your joy and love of God, But I feel like there's ways to do that by being just me with my shoes on. That's a funny question. Anything about Pope Francis. I say if you're going to criticize him, you have to be praying for him, or else you're only doing harm to you. Because you're harboring hatred, if not accompanied by prayer with the criticism. And that sits in you. It doesn't get transferred to Pope Francis, whether you like it or not. It just sits in you. So be sure you are praying for whoever you are criticizing, so that it doesn't turn into bitterness. It turns into genuine care for the salvation of that person's soul. Always. Michael Jacob, how should I deal with anti-Catholicism at a Protestant school? I went to a Protestant school for 3 years, and I used the Friendly Defenders cards to answer literally every single question they came up with. They're actually really good, and I know they're made for like younger kids and everything, but I thought they listed every scripture that you could possibly need to answer all those questions. And Michael, you might not be there to convert the whole school or anything like that, or to make them understand. But it seems like when I went to a Protestant school, it made my faith form a little earlier in like 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, because I started to wonder, I started to be questioned, why do I believe what I believe? And then I started to get answers when I went home. But also I began to see firsthand the scrutiny that our Blessed Mother receives daily, which is why you should pray your rosary, because it's much sweeter to her ears than many other things people shout at her all day long. The Mother of Jesus, for crying out loud. I'm sure he's not very happy about that. And yeah, you get to see firsthand the opposition to the truth, and actually that can increase your own faith and your own determination in the long term. And so it comes out to be for your good, for the solidification of your own faith. So I can't promise you convert the whole school, but this might be for you the preservation of your faith long term. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Michael. Yeah. Protestant people are judgmental and angry. My grandma was Protestant and she converted, and she was never judgmental or angry her whole life. Generalizations are a dangerous thing, because once again, you have to keep God as somebody who is in touch with us personally, because people are personal, unique individuals with their own life stories that can stack and be a book that high for just one person, or short. But generalizations are a dangerous game, so dangerous. They stem from anger and not being able to maybe fully understand a lot of what's going on and trying to come to a quick conclusion so you can sleep at night, and you just should fight that a little bit more. I'm guilty of generalizations in my life, and I need to stop it. So this isn't just me yelling at people on the internet. This is to me too. This is bouncing off the computer and going back to me. Renee, my heart aches when your voice starts to quake when talking about how we hurt Jesus through our own actions and the actions of others. I know that I never say we hurt. Oh, I see. I never say we hurt Jesus, but I did just say that Mary comes under a lot of criticism in daily life by the things that people say about her that are quite nasty, from people who don't see her as Queen of Heaven. So your heart shouldn't ache when you hear about how you, well, sure, your heart can ache because of the things you've done wrong to Jesus, but not in a depressing game over sort of way, I hope. Hope not, because you know Jesus rose from the dead, right? And you know that he is that God is a much greater being than you, and anything you can potentially do. Yes, it is hurtful when a parent is disobeyed and talked back to and things like that, but they still love you, and they are still kind of above you and can go, oh my, if they're having a bad day, I do hope they come around, So, yes, there's a genuine hurt towards the heart of Jesus and Mary when we go the wrong way, but it's not an anger or bitterness at us, ever. Because what they see from the other side is a struggle and a competition for your soul in particular. There's a pulling from one side of things, from the side of darkness and sin and loneliness and anger and hate and hell. And then there's the pull by the saints and the angels and your awesome ancestors who might have been if one of the faithful, and Jesus and Mary. There is a fight for your soul. And it's sad to see someone turn and walk the other way because, well, that wasn't That's not what you were created for. God is always above and will go on forever, no matter how many people turn from him. So don't get so depressed in your own wrong, especially if you're sorry for it. Especially if you're sorry for it, because that in itself is a sign of grace and a sign that Jesus dwells in your heart. If you have a hatred for the bad things that come in your mind and wonder, God, why do these bad things keep coming in my mind? And he told Catherine of Siena, it's because I was in your heart the whole time that you had such an adversity and a disgust for those things that came in your mind, and a disgust for your past sins, and a disgust for what you had done. That was a grace. Now, it's not a grace to dwell and get depressed and down and despair over those sins like they have more weight than God in the terms of how much you can forgive. Like, no. So, once again, jumping from topic to topic as I always do. Let's read some comments. St. Augustine's confession is very good. How many rosaries do you say daily? Okay. What is your most beautiful memory associated with professing the Catholic faith? I can't tell you my most beautiful memory off the bat because there are a lot, but I can tell you one that came to mind immediately. A beautiful memory I had was in church, towards the back, daily mass, maybe 20 people in there. And it was some point when we were standing up in the mass. And there was just a strong smell of roses. And it was very nice. And I just thought of that memory right now. And I haven't thought of that in a very long time. That was, must have been 16 at the time, or 17. But there's probably more, there's obviously more beautiful memories and things, but that's just one that came right off the bat. No explanation further about it. Do you have a favorite part of the rosary? I like meditating on the sorrowful mysteries. The crown of thorns. The sorrowful mysteries, crown of thorns, has always been close to me for years. Since I was 14, I had a strong pull towards that mystery in particular. And whenever it's the sorrowful mysteries, those ones hit me the hardest in just an incredible way. They're very moving, they're very intense to think about. And in the last rosary, I said those were sorrowful mysteries. Intense. How do I let go of the secular things in myself to become a true Catholic? I really wish I knew you personally. I wish I knew which things in particular. How do I let go of secular things in myself to become a true Catholic? Because the secular things dabble over the line of what is good and what is bad. And they kind of, let's say what's good is over here and what's bad is over here. And there are secular things that can make us kind of go over to the bad side just a little bit. Really bad things are over here. Mortal sins, really, really mortal sins, venial sins, just dabbling in danger zone right here. And secular things can make us like waver like this, and then maybe go, oh, that was not good because I did that thing and it led to that. And when like the church scandals came out, when you hear of just the greatest evils that are out there, terrible ones happening to innocents all over the world, I don't even want to think about it. But unfortunately, secularism and the things that dabble in just the danger zone, and telling you they are related and of the same root and of the same family as the sins that are over here. I'm not saying to be scrupulous, but I'm saying when you hear of something absolutely disgusting that happens in the world, something gross where tons of people die, innocents die, kidnapped, it's of the same tree. It's of the same tree. And at one point, and at many points, despite being maybe in a more secular mood lately in my life or something, I've noticed that I've bounced back before when I've realized that I want no part. That I want no part, I want no association. I don't want to eat from the same tree that harbors such evil deeds down the line further. I don't want to stand on this side of the line because I don't want to stand at the end of time and be associated with those disgusting actions happening all over the world, and terrorism, and kidnapping of children, and the worst of the worst things. I want no association. And I would sometimes flee to the other side and cling to the other side, cling to Mary, even just weep for the fact that I had been over there at all and was even associated and helping and aiding that side, and they're aiding them in little ways, but promoting and keeping up the existence of those other greater evils by feeding into it, just in little pennies and little dimes. But I was donating to the big sins. So even in those little things, remember what they're related to. Remember what their relatives are, their relative sins. They all sprout from the same soil. The little weeds and the big thorn bushes. So stay on the side of what is good and true and beautiful, so that at the end of your life, God can look at you and you can look at him and can say that you tried to be on the side of the good, and that you died on the side of the good, not promoting, not dabbling in, not giving your change, your spare change to that other side. Those greater, big, problem, disgusting, horrible, heartbreaking sins in the world that take so many lives every single day behind closed doors. We're the saints of this time, and we have more saints in heaven now looking down over us than any group of people in the history of the world. And don't you remember that some of the greatest tragedies in the world brought forth the greatest saints? So, we're all called to be great saints. Don't miss the opportunity. Okay. Okay. I'm really behind on comments because I talked for a long time. 57 of you, my goodness, and from all over the place. Europe, America, and everybody's waking up around the world probably. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the beautiful comments that encourage me. The dead people's souls now in heaven or hell or still on their bodies waiting for the second judgment. There are people in heaven now, and we believe that the saints we have canonized are ones that are for sure in heaven because they've been proven by certain, they go through their lives, go through a certain process, and they have to have a certain number of miracles happen that are attributed to them, and just deep study into their lives before they are considered for sainthood. First, they are venerable. There will be venerable so-and-so, venerable Therese, or whatever. Then blessed Therese, if they get to the next stage at the Vatican in the research of their life and the miracles. And then they can be canonized a saint if everything goes through and everything's approved, and the church can for sure say that this person is in heaven by those miracles and by their life and their faith. Yeah, there's criteria that the Catholic Church uses before it proclaims anybody a saint in the church. Though there are many unproclaimed saints and so many martyrs of the church that are unnamed. So there's people in heaven we don't know are there. And it could be that old lady next door that sat spinning her rosary on the front porch every day. That's something to find out when we get there, and one of the perks of getting there. So, yeah, keep an eye out for me at Seek 2019. Everybody, I'll be there. I'll also be at the Pro-Life March in Washington, D.C. on January 22nd, I believe it is. Usually is around that time. No. Yeah, I agree with Kensta on this one. No, you should not call me Saint Renee because I'm not. I'm on earth. I'm not in heaven, so you can't say that about anybody who's not in heaven. But it's true because it's true to remember that saints were made from the same material that you are. They were made of the same body, same brain, same everything, same hands, feet. They didn't have anything that you didn't have. But every saint has their own story. And so you have your own too. It's going to be different than any other saint before. With all the times you've fallen and gotten back up, everything, every part of it. It's going to make up your story. No other saints. Okay. That's true, Jokeman, and that goes for all of you too. If you continue to live a holy life for Jesus until the end of your days, then we will have to investigate any miracles attributed to you. Can Lutherans be saint? I think my grandma is a saint. Well, my grandma was also Lutheran, and she converted to Catholicism. And probably one of the holiest people still living that I know because she had a stroke like years ago. Can't move half her body, has 100% of her brain, but has been bedridden for like 4 years now. And she just prays and watches EWTN Mass and then other TV shows like the baseball game and stuff. But she's 100% there in her brain. Can't move, can't go anywhere, doesn't go anywhere. But prays for me and prays for so many people. She was a Lutheran. Again, with God personally knowing every single human being. I, as a Catholic, can't say that you can get to heaven outside of the Catholic faith. Never should Catholic Church ever say such a thing. Because if you have the opportunity to learn the truth and you pass it up because someone says, oh, the Catholic Church is the truth, you can get to heaven through it, but you can get to heaven without it. And they pass up the chance to know the full truth of the Catholic faith, that doesn't bode very well. It doesn't bode very well. So the Catholic Church can't officially say that you can get into heaven without the Catholic faith like that. But I do hope to be pleasantly surprised by seeing a lot of faces in heaven that were good people I knew here on earth that were not Catholic. I would love to be pleasantly surprised, but only God knows that. And the Catholic Church can't say otherwise. Joaquin? I'm sorry, I can't say it. Jacqueline? I don't know. Joaquin? What? Okay. I give up. I believe your grandmother is a lovely woman. I do believe that. We'll have to see. We'll see. I hope so. I hope so. I hope to see everybody in heaven. I hope to see our grandma too. Hoping to finally make it to the March for Life in DC. I'm in Canada and do full-time pro-life work here, but my birthday is January 22nd, so I've been trying to spend my birthday at the March. Oh, well, if you send me a message on Instagram, Renee Shumay on Instagram, SHUMAY, on the day of the March, I'll be watching my Instagram messages and seeing if I can meet people with accompaniment from 2 people who will make sure that I'm not confronted by anybody with bad intentions. So, yeah. No, King Solomon, I didn't. Who said you think you're going to hell because you're not Catholic? No, I said the church can't officially say people get into heaven without Catholicism. They can't say that. Because of the fact that the people could pass up the learning of the truth because they think they don't need it when they do. And the danger of passing up the opportunity to learn it is dangerous. To deny an opportunity to learn more about God, philosophy, truth, not good. So, yeah, there's so much else to be considered with each and every person. So I condemn nobody to hell. And I commit nobody straight to heaven, but hope it for everyone, including myself. So, of course. And King Solomon, no, I don't think you are going to hell because I can't think such a thing because I have no knowledge to think such a thing. I don't have such in-depth knowledge to think such a thing of your life and your soul and heaven and hell and the reality of the world. I'm the last person in any place to say something like that. Hey, Reborn Pure, you said you would pray for my mom last time. Do you need us to pray for you? Oh, that's so nice. Of course. Prayers are lovely. That would be super nice. Thanks. Do I do anything special in Advent season? Not incredibly. I mean, I'm Eastern Rite Catholic, so we have the Christmas Eve 12 meatless dishes tradition. That's always cool. My favorite mystery is the Annunciation. Okay. Okay. I'm going to seek this year. Timbawabo. I am going to seek this year. I will be there, and I'll be able to be reached through Instagram. Yeah, but I guess I'll be checking all my social media, but I should probably like do a live stream from Seek so that people can come see, but I feel like most people won't be watching YouTube while they're at Seek, so I'll just try to stand somewhere a little obvious. Like in the, maybe I'll stand behind Father Mike Schmitz and give him bunny ears or something, and then everyone will know where I am. No. Do I play any sports? Not right now, but I am incredibly skilled at shooting a basketball into a basketball hoop. I made 12 three-point shots in a row 2 summers ago, and every arcade machine I encounter with a basketball theme, I have put a high score on, at least 3 of them, the last time I played. I also was a catcher for softball for just 1 semester in college, and because I did it earlier in life too. I also do fencing. I did fencing for a while, and that was awesome. I have a little blue sailboat about 15 feet long. It's called Joan of Arc or Joan d'Arc or Joan the Arc, and I refurbished it with my dad. It's a wooden boat, and it'd be nice to take her out again. And then I played volleyball and soccer and tennis, and yeah, played a lot of sports in my life. But basketball is the one skill I still kind of have, shooting hoops. Okay. When can we join you for a rosary video? I don't know. I wish my life was a little more scheduled than it is. I'm just coming on here as often as possible so you all see me often. I wish it could be more scheduled than that, but it just can't be. It just can't be. I can't make promises. But I can make a promise that I'll still be on YouTube for years to come. I'll still be here. Okay. Catholic Jackie believes that the Assumption of Virgin Mary, that she didn't die. Yeah. Eastern Rite Catholics believe in the Dormition of Mary, where she fell asleep and then was not found the next day. That she was just sleeping. So that's always up for debate too. The Assumption of the Virgin Mary versus the Dormition is actually something that Eastern Catholics and the Western Rite still don't agree on. Where are you, Sean? I don't think I have any plans on December 8th, but I don't know where you are, and I can't drive very far. But anywhere I go, I'm always accompanied, so because safety reasons. I've been on the internet a little too long, a little bit too long. There are a lot of creeps in messages, trust me. Especially over the years, I've had to really, people have gotten in trouble for things they have messaged me in the past. It has not been fun. And not just me yelling at them, I have literally had to get them in trouble. So I'm down for coming to visit people, but know that I never come places alone, ever. That would be very silly of me to do. Okay. Do Eastern Catholics believe Pontius Pilate is a saint? I don't think so. Nothing. I've never heard that before. Okay. It's time for bed for me. So it's awesome that we've had so many people on tonight. And I know just a certain 20 people comment, but then there's 50 or even sometimes 60 people watching. So I appreciate you people who watch and would comment, but don't or can't. I appreciate you and thank you for watching. It's nice to have the company and the friendship on here. Again, with the question of, do you plan on getting married or going into the religious life? If somebody comes along that makes me want to get married, then I'll want to get married. I don't just want marriage for the sake of marriage, per se. I do, in my mind, think of the ideal married life and family and things, but I don't just say, I just gotta get married, go get somebody. And no, it's if someone comes along that makes me want to get married, then that might happen. Or if the path is opened up a little more obviously to me towards religious life, that might happen. I'm completely open to both options. Completely. I seem a little down. No, I'm just literally really exhausted. And I prayed a very emotionally moving rosary before this. But I am so good. I'm in a really good place in my life. And I've been decorating my house this week and it's looking really cute. I'm really happy about that. And my siblings are coming back from Europe soon. They've both been over there. And they're coming back in December, so I'm really excited. And my job is going great, and I'm making tons of friends, and I'm just doing fabulous. So I'm not going through an inner turmoil of any sort at the moment, which is really fortunate, which is why I feel like I can come on here and have fun talking to you all and maybe cheer up anybody on here. But sometimes in order to cheer up people, there's a thing called, empathy and sympathy. And so when I'm talking to people going through hard times, sometimes I can look a little down because I am recalling maybe times in my life I felt the same, and I'm trying to bring out those feelings, that past hurt or pain, and talk to them about that experience and offer advice about that experience. So in that moment, I can look maybe a little more serious and even sad, because I'm thinking about something sad and hearing someone else go through something sad. So I meet them in a more sad place. And then slowly, either give advice or just talk about it in a positive light. And we can both kind of rise up out of it together. And then we're both a little happier. And then I can go back to my life, which is pretty good right now. And continue to pray for that person I encountered in the video and in the comments. But yeah, if people are like, why are you sad looking or whatever? And it's like, because I'm actually talking with people who are seriously sometimes in bad places, and I can't kind of burst in the door and do a dance in front of them. I have to meet them where they are. And so empathy, sympathy comes into play, and being a woman and being very much into feelings and emotions, and those being very overwhelming because I'm a woman. It's how it is with us. I can get really pulled in, and so I can look really sad because I am in that place with that person while I'm talking to them, either helping them with giving them advice or learning from them in their story. So my life is very good right now, but this is how YouTube can be, and it's a blessing. And I'm happy to be able to be here to talk to these people and help. So, yeah, I better go now. Ridiculously long live stream. Woo! Okay. Good night, everybody. See ya. Yeah, another reason I might look sad is because it's really late. So probably my face is probably just physically tired and the kids. Yeah. Okay. Good night, everybody. Adios. Good night. Good night, Hans. Good night, Irvin. Good night. All right. Sean, Jose, Meg, Slim Jimmy, other Sean, Nadia, Joseph, Mary S., Mario, Robert, Gabriel. Good night, everybody. Here I go. Yokin. I can't say this name. We're good. Mario GG30. Good night. I can't say Joquin, okay? I can't. Yokin. Yokine? I give up. So, good night. Don't worry. It's their username, but don't worry, be happy. Okay. I know this is like the longest good night ever. What in the world? But I want to say good night to everybody. No, I'll go now. All right. You guys are hilarious. Gotta go. Talk to you later. Oh, good night, Daniel. I'm glad you're still watching all of this. That's awesome. I'll be back later. Hope to see you all next time I live stream. Wish I was more scheduled and knew when that would be, but it's usually at night. Okay. Bye, everybody. God bless you. Ciao. And God bless you again, because I still haven't hung up. Okay, bye.